Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs Alex, Gore, and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex, Gore, and Lance Cayko.
Maybe I will. Maybe we're live.
We're live.
Maybe it's been 2 weeks.
I know. It feels like forever.
Feels like forever. How long? Like forever, like 2 years since we've podcasted? It does, seriously.
Feels like
a
year.
month, honestly. Feels like about a month.
Yeah. So, welcome back, everyone.
Sorry we missed you last week. Lance went back to college.
Yep.
And Al was sick.
I was sick.
Yeah.
I was we don't need to get into it, actually. So anyways, the university invited us back, NDSU. We were both going to speak, and then I just came down with something, and I was emailing the professors and everyone. I go, in my head, I don't know what I typed because I was probably delirious, but guess Lance is taking over. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a business partner.
It is. And here's why. Well, number one, we can pinch hit for each other. But what I was going to say is, every time we go on a trip, and if Alex is on the trip, my laziness kicks in, and I just go, oh, I don't even whatever Al says, that's what we're doing. just going with the flow, relaxing. So then when Al, I think it was the morning. Wasn't it the morning? Morning of the day we were going to leave. It's like, it's not, I can't do it. And all kinds of sick or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow, now I got to actually know what's going on.
Yeah. And I set up, so not only were you speaking and judging a competition, you got to take advantage of every minute that you have. So I set up 4 or 5 interviews.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about was more than anything was, why it's important for you to give back to your alma mater. If you aren't already, I'm sure a lot of people listening already do. But how it can be a reciprocal type of relationship, right? So we sponsored a studio project for the second year architecture students at NDSU, and it was awesome because it kind of unified the whole studio, and they did these really cool projects. But then what Alex said is, what we did is then we lined up. We contacted the professors and said, hey, will you put out an email to the listserv? We'd love to interview candidates. We'd love to interview like the best candidates you got, or whoever actually wants to interview with us. So all of a sudden we had like, when else could you get to just interview people from the university in a row like that? 5 or 6 of them. I think I interviewed 5 people.
Yep.
Throughout the day, and it was just back to back to back to back to back. Super efficient, much more efficient than having people come into the office and all kinds of stuff like that. And then plus you know the curriculum from the university that you went to, so I think you take pride in what you learned, right? So you're gonna take pride in these people.
But then also it's nice because then you get a contrast, meaning like it's one after another after another after another.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Yep. And then you can make some pretty good assessments. Yep. On the fly like that. So that was cool. And then also just to give back. And
to also go eat at your favorite establishments too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so jealous.
That you missed for literally a decade. I'm not joking. I hadn't eaten at this sandwich shop. It's called Grand Junction. If you're ever in the Fargo-Moorhead area, or Bismarck or Mandan, apparently they got 2 there now.
Keep expanding, my friends.
I know. Bring it south. There is not a better sandwich shop in the United States.
I know what I want to agree.
Bold statement,
and people,
but factual statement.
The Fargo, man. Sometimes it's context, right? and one of the best burgers I had in my life was after I biked like 30 miles. When I never really biked longer than whatever a kid bikes a mile. Mm-hmm. And I had the best burger in the world in Ireland. Was it the best burger in the world? Probably not. But
probably not.
This sandwich shop, the way that they heat and toast and put everything together, and the seasoning that they use in the cold tundra of Fargo is just, and the fries are so warm.
Oh, I honestly can't say enough about it. I ate there twice. Oh, back to back.
I'm a jelly sandwich.
Back to back. And then it was also cool to just go back. And Alex and I had got to know our professors on a personal level. I think maybe more than most students do usually, right? I had an interesting connection with one of them where we both had our first children, at the same, like literally within a month of each other. So we kind of had like a bonding, way of we just had a bond going, personal bond in that respect. So I went and had lunch with him. That was the second time I went to Grand Junction. Yep. Same sandwich. But just to catch up with everybody and see what everybody else is doing. And then to kind of walk around like you're kind of a little celebrity for a day. It's hilarious. It really is. Like every single former professor who you are in good terms with wanted to pull me into, or you, if you're going to do this, into their studio. Hey, just say something. Literally, I'm not joking. They would pull me in and be like, say something. And then I would just...
You didn't tell me that part.
I know. I left some of it for the podcast.
Yeah.
So and then one of the cooler parts also was being able to give a lecture. And so I didn't have a huge audience there, but being able to give a lecture that was scheduled and everything, and then and to kind of hone it in on and to literally bring them inside the firm again.
Yep.
And try to give them some kind of advice that maybe other practicing architects aren't giving them when they come. So because one of the pieces of feedback I got was from the IT guy, and he goes like, when does another architect ever come into NDSU and they're not just talking about their work, but they're trying to give solid business advice, entrepreneurial stuff, tips? He's like, that was phenomenal. That was amazing. We recorded it, but the audio came out so poorly that we were going to make it into a podcast, and it just was too bad. We love your ears too much, people.
That and then also you kind of needed the slides to reference it, so you can't do a podcast that is based on slides.
True.
When you got thrown in, hey, come say something. What did you say? Because one thing came to my mind right away. But what did you say?
I said, when I got thrown into one, I said, hey, I'm Lance. I was the 2008 McKinsey Award winner, skyscraper winner. I believe in you guys as NDSU students. Do you have any questions for me as a practicing architect? You know, and then they would ask me some questions, and then we started the dialogue. So it was more of a Q&A, and
awesome.
like some of them like that. I had to introduce myself and what I was doing.
Yeah,
or whatever. And then they asked me what my favorite one project was, and I was like, "Oh, skyscraper was the best," and all this other stuff. And then we went back and forth, and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys want to see my thesis?" They're like, "Yeah, we do." So then I presented the thesis really quick. So I don't know what else you're supposed to say, because I already said, by that point I had already said whatever the heck I needed to say.
Yeah,
advice wise in the lecture.
Cool. Well, that sounds great.
So
I like that. Awesome. I have a personal connection with someone.
Okay,
it's Mark LePage.
Yeah.
From Entree Architect. And my personal connection is because I listened to him.
Yeah.
So I'm counting that. I talk to him sometimes too. You haven't listened to, I know you haven't.
EA 210?
EA 210.
Have not.
And if you're listening, everyone go listen to it. It's about the Shret Venture Group. Have you heard of them? I bet you've heard of them.
I've heard of them, yes.
Do you know what's unique about them?
No. Tell me how.
So they're a business development group, and we get calls and solicitations from coaches all the time.
Business coaches.
Yep.
I love them.
And I love that you love them, because the question you always ask them is like, have you done anything? Have you grown a business? Have you, just those normal questions where a lot of times they haven't really
I always say to them, and I am nice and cordial throughout the whole process, but I always say, hey, definitely interested. Can you point me to examples of successful businesses that you've brought up from the ground up and then possibly sold or whatever? Because I have to assume if you're a business coach now, it was so successful you can just walk away from that. You sold it, you made a bunch of money, and now you're just giving back. Just giving back.
What I love about their business and how they run it is that I don't think they ask you for money right away. I actually think they might invest in you. But listen to this. How they make this is my problem with business coaches is a lot of times like, oh yeah, I'd sign up. It's $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever it is, and that might be fine and all well and good, and you could get stuff from that. They only take a percentage of your revenue. So think about it this way. And this is what I thought about. Coach, if you are so good, if you can make me, if you're selling and like, hey, all we have to do is this, and then you'll increase in revenue, and things might be harder in the beginning, but then things will get easier. Then can you stand by your word and then take a cut of that increase?
I like that. Yep.
Because they said the only way for us, if Shret Venture Group wants to expand or make more money, is to make you more money. I'm like, oh, that's probably a really good. That's a compelling way for a business person to sell their.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I do it or anything, but I'm like, man, that's the first coach that I've heard or whatever they want to call themselves, a partner.
Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
To jump in with those guys. Just give it a shot. What can you lose?
Yeah.
Right? There's no way to lose.
Yep.
Huh. That's interesting.
So anyways, the other thing that they're doing, just a quick shout out, is every year they do a business plan competition. And they give out like at least $5,000. At the AIA convention, you're invited out. It's big hoopla. Mark is partnered with them. All that. Due date for that is March 26th. If you go to Surrett Venture Group, it's cool because on their website, you start to fill in questions that lead you towards a business plan.
Oh, that's interesting. And it doesn't like any kind of business. This is just any business.
No, architecture.
Oh, it is architecture.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. So read through that. I'll put a link in the show notes. Surrett Venture Group. If you Google that, you're gonna in architecture, you're gonna find it anyways. So
very cool. Very cool. So I want to give a book recommendation.
Okay.
I quit podcast.
Is it
for
by
a
Jocko?
week. For a week. No, Jocko doesn't hold a candle to this man.
That's not true.
Absolutely 100%. He doesn't. There's not even. You couldn't. There's no comparison.
There's absolute comparison.
Well, tell us then. What's the comparison?
That
how far are you through the book? I'm going to talk about.
Peterson's theory is executed in Jocko's daily discipline.
Is it really?
Absolutely. Have you listened to Jordan Peterson on Jocko's podcast?
No. When was this? Was this recently?
Yeah.
In pushing for his book?
Yeah. So Jocko was saying,
wow,
so interesting.
Maybe that's the only episode of the Jocko I can handle because it doesn't scare me.
Exactly. And I don't even want to tell you about some of the scary stuff that's been.
I don't want to know about
Jason,
it. Don't want to know about it.
Hour away from the office. On the way back, I'm telling you, he listened to this craziness.
Okay.
But what was great is it was a contradiction between Jocko saying, because Jocko's experience is just real life war and all that stuff. So he's like,
literally war.
Literally. God. So he's like, okay, I'm doing a job. This is how I think about it. And then this principle. And then Jordan's like, yes, the allegory to the, the root cause of this. So it was the academic backup to the solid principles because you can get knowledge through experience, you can get knowledge through reading, you can get it through a combination of both, you can get through whatever. So it was just this culmination of
this nexus.
And
cool.
Then Peterson would say something, and then Jocko would be like, "Oh yeah, when we were whatever Jocko was doing, that's so true, Jordan."
So this amazing book is called Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. And I cannot recommend it enough. It is a phenomenal book. I'm listening to it on Audible, and that's actually I'd recommend it more than anything to listen to it on Audible because Jordan Peterson reads it. And chapter 8 just broke my heart. Like the last 12 minutes, I'm not joking. You can just hear going from one sentence to another, his voice cracks, and you're like, oh wow, this man is pouring his heart out. He's just absolutely pouring his heart out into this book, and he's just like every word he's about to cry. And it's
was it about him and his daughter?
Nope, it's not about him and his daughter. Oh. It's about this. It's about it just summed up in one thing. At his very last sentence of that chapter is, "Do what is meaningful, not what is expedient." So the whole chapter is him setting up what is meaning. And he's using all of these references. He uses all these biblical references and stuff like that. But then he uses real life references, because he talks about when he moved from alchemy to the scientific method. Just phenomenal. There's so many good little quotes.
Is that the Tell the Truth chapter?
That's chapter 9. That's the one I'm on today.
Oh, pursue what is meaningful. Obviously.
Pursue what is meaningful. Yep.
Rule 7 chapters in
Rule 7. Every single person on earth could benefit for listening to this book. There's some chapters where I'm not sure it's entirely appropriate for kids, not because there's anything lewd or obscene, but one of the chapters is literally about how to raise kids. When I was listening to it, I thought about, okay, how do you... I don't know how my kids would take that. But for sure, the chapter about the lobsters, I think it's chapter 2, where he talks about...
Stand up straight.
Stand up straight. It's literally standing... here's the quote from that chapter that I love was, "Standing up means voluntarily accepting the burden of being." Just like these one-liners where I'm just like, oh, I had to stop and just ponder, these sentences for minutes. And that chapter in particular, when I take my family down for spring break, we're going to listen to that on the whole way down. Because that's one, the kids will get it. children will understand these concepts about like, oh, I understand a lobster. I get like that. There's a dominant lobster and there's a non-dominant lobster, and what does that mean? And like why it makes sense for me as just a growing person to stand up for myself, stand up straight, shoulders back, have confidence, talk to people, interact, just and be that kind of person. And like the more winning you have in your life, the more it just breeds like success breeds success, right?
Absolutely.
So I cannot recommend the book enough.
Awesome.
Everybody should check it out, and we can't recommend it enough so much that we're buying all of the guys in our firm, all of our employees a copy, whether they want a hard copy or a digital copy. That all went this morning, because I think if we're really trying to breed leaders here and foster leaders here, this kind of I can't think of a like. Culturally, how big of an effect this guy is going to have on the world. I mean, maybe I'm just like, he's just saying all the stuff I've wanted to hear for decades. But
Little Jordan, Little Jocko.
Look at that.
Here you go.
I
like it.
Yep. I gotta make a shirt.
How
far are you into it?
I ended 3. I'm on 4, I think.
Okay,
I think
about a third of the way.
4.
Third of the way, a
Yeah.
little less. Yep.
But what's great, you text me and you said, hey, I think we should buy books for everyone. And I immediately say, yes. Because when talking about this podcast and reading from arts principles and all that, and it's how people should be, we should cultivate leaders and stuff like that. I think we should have at least 1 to 4 books a year where we say, and I think it should stem from us because we have the perspective of what will be applicable, right? It's not that other people can't suggest it and then we'll read it and then decide we're going to buy it for everyone else. But there's learning by experience and there's learning by books, and then there's also just getting everyone on the same page and category and all that. So like I have a couple in contention that I think in a couple months after Jordan, then like, oh, everyone read this. Okay, now we know how we're all going to tell a story or, whatever we're going to do. I think it'd be fun. We got a bunch of readers, and then 3, I think it'd help the firm.
And 4, it just helps the people. So you are just giving and sacrificing a little bit of the firm's income for that. You're following one of the principles, right? Because that's one of my other favorite quotes that he says is he goes, "What is the difference between the successful and unsuccessful? The successful sacrifice." So practice, sacrifice, and sharing until you become an expert at it. Yeah. I was just like, line after line after line. I'm just like, God, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. That chapter last night, I could just rip me up in a good way. I was like, wow, that is amazing. How profound. 12 minutes, this guy just poured himself out, and you could just hear it. And I played it for my wife the last 2 minutes. She was like, oh my God, that's crazy. She's like, I have to listen to it now because she's reading it.
Yeah. I like his voice, and I can hear him in my head, so I might listen to it too. I got the next one for you after this one for audio too, and I think you'll like audio. I like it when the authors read it because I don't know, it's just something.
Well,
better.
what I figured out is I have, and I already told you this, but to everybody else is I figured out like I can't sit still. So me sitting down with the book is really difficult. But I have if I'm doing something physically and then I'm listening, good to go. Yep. Good to go.
So I think the next one will be. Even unless you veto it, right? Unless you say, I veto this book. But if you're like, it's just a good book, I think it should be 10X. That's the book I was telling you about.
Sure.
That, because there were so many that we kind of know, but it's reinforced by a guy that's a little bit more successful. And then guess what he was talking about in the last couple chapters was him getting a TV show. And remember how we said, if you want to get a TV show, you got to do everything for them.
Yeah.
And then he just detailed out how he did everything for them.
And just like gave him a show.
And then
hilarious.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so it's just a reinforcement, and the guy's hilarious. So
that's kind of what I need to know is even this Jordan Peterson book is. I told my brother last night. I texted him and I was like, right after I got on that chat, you gotta just stop podcasts for a week. You need to just get Audible. You need to get this book because it will change your life. And this is coming from a guy who thinks he has his shit together, and this is still extremely profound.
Yep. And this 10X2 is linking with what's happening in the firm. So remember last podcast, which was 2 weeks ago, like Al's striking out, and then he's spinning around in the circle and then hitting the ball, and then the ball's going for a pop fly, then someone's catching it, and every single time just discouraged, keeping in contact, keeping in communication with them, like always on top of the ball. And then from one of the projects that still will probably come in 2 weeks, something like that, but is this iffy one where I keep hitting it and then not hitting it and all that.
It's a lot of bunting.
Yeah.
What you're doing is, I feel like you're bunting from base to base. Somehow the rules have changed in this project.
And I go to
like
first
bunt
base, and they throw it to me, and I bunt.
Yep.
Go to second base.
Eventually, we're getting there.
Bunt. The contractor like this now going to meet with the client. Probably get a house.
And let me interject here a little bit. So Al had a meeting with the contractor, and this contractor is like kind of one of those a little bit crotchety, like not so happy with architects, right? Whatever Al did and said in the meeting, I'm like, oh, you whatever you did convinced him that, like, nope, they're not, because they're seeking you, for God's sakes.
Yep. And then also they we aligned on a fundamental thing. Like, they hate what's it called? Coming back and doing work, but that's revision work.
Change orders,
not that. Warranty work.
Oh, yeah.
Warranty work. They hate the warranty work. And that just aligned with when we're trying to make our drawings and stuff like that. Like, man, we hate change orders. You hate warranty work. We hate change orders. Like, let's do it right. Mm-hmm. And just everything was clicking that way. So we'll give it a try. I think it's going to work out.
He's going to give it the old college try.
Whoop, whoop. So that's it. So speaking of that, and speaking of improvement, our NickReads, right? Mm-hmm. He had the idea. He wanted to switch sheets, sets, and look at different sets. And I thought that was a great idea. And he has I actually really like his sets. But I got 2 ideas from him.
Okay.
One was on all of our commercial plans. We always do a detail of the bathroom layout, right? We do a call out essentially.
Yeah.
But a lot of times on residential, we don't do it. But I was redlining a sheets, and I want the vanity width. I want to make sure my clearances between the toilet is right, and then I want to make sure that the shower, because we've been doing more custom showers, are right. And then you want the overall width of the walls. I'm like, man, I'm marking up all these dimensions I want there. It's just getting really, really cluttered. So one of our guys colloquially called it, he's making a shitter sheet.
That's what it's called. Okay, yeah, I was wondering why this is going to, hopefully iTunes doesn't mark us as E for explicit. I was wondering, so we have show notes. We have an outline before we do this. So, because there's a sequence somewhat. Yeah. And I saw that word and I was like, what is this going to be?
But anyways, and I was talking to one of our guys that's doing our project, and he's laying out the bathroom in elevations. And I go, you might as well do an S sheet.
Love it. Structural. Nope.
And then Jason is doing MRK, and when we talked to them, they said, oh yeah, give us curb detail, stuff like that. And then Jason chimes up, I'm doing an S sheet too now.
Nice.
So now everyone's doing S sheets.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we'll have to translate. Well, I will have to translate that for all of the stuff we're doing too. I'll have to catch everybody up. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and then the next thing, this didn't come from Nick, but I thought with this new house, I'm going to put in the site, and bulk planes are an issue. So in Denver, there's this. Is it 65% between the front and the back?
Yep. The front of the lot, 65% of the lot. The coverage and there's rules are different than the back 35%. Yep. That's the idea.
So Lance, I'm going to make a flexible, transparent family that has that ratio in it. So you can type the width of the lot and the length of the lot, and then it will be a 3D physical box, so that you know to just like,
look at these guys from F9 just doing things.
If you're breaking
making stuff up, yep.
It'll show. And then I'll probably relate a 3D view that's called the bulk plane view, so that when you spin around, that's there and it's hidden on the other ones.
That's awesome,
man.
Look at you guys.
Very excited.
I leave for 2 weeks. Didn't leave for 2 weeks. We just haven't talked for.
You laughed for like 2 days. I leave for 2 days. This is what happens.
And the S sheets come out. Good grief.
Yep.
Very cool.
Which leads into, let's go into NickReads.
Alrighty.
Hello, best friends. I hope you all had a great couple of weeks. A reading. Get to the table. How to win real clients. Explore and listen. Business rarely falls into your lap. You must go out, explore, and find clients. You must generate opportunities and be ready for unanticipated ones. Once you find a prospective client, you must quickly switch gears into deep listening mode. Ask good questions and seek to understand where the client is strong and where they are seeking help. Listen for the smallest cues that could indicate the potential for collaboration. Art Gensler. Al. Lance. Go Bearcats! Toodles!
What are they? Are the Bearcat? What seed are they? I don't even know.
Well, they're Cincinnati.
Yep.
He was at a game. I think they won their first game. So I have them going pretty far in March Madness.
Cool.
Yeah. I think they're a 4 seed.
Nick, do you know who my favorite Cincinnati player ever is? I bet he can't guess. I bet you can't guess. Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin was a phenom in college, and then he was just crazy in the pros because he was just like, what I loved about him is
this
like,
late 90s? Early 2000s?
Late 90s, early 2000s, Kenyon Martin. Yep. But he was awesome because like he was a major blocker, and I love that's like one of the cockiest things you can do in basketball is blocking, and then you stare the guy down. I used to do it all the time. This guy was a jerk in basketball.
That is.
But anyway, so yes, I'm with you, Nick. Go Bearcats.
Yep.
So I had a meeting with this is a great topic because I want to ask you. There's basically 3 steps when I go into a meeting, and this is exactly what happened yesterday, right? So I went down to Lakewood, had a meeting with a client. They're going to do a Master Suite edition. We do those all the time. So the first thing I do is when I shake their hand and everything is look for some cue of some kind of personal connection, right? So the first cue that I had, and I don't even talk business right away. It's always like, is there some personal cue where I can relate with them? And all of a sudden now we're people. It's not business. It's not like business person to person. It's person to person.
Yep.
And then we'll get into business. We can do that later, right? So they had their dog was jumping all over in this cage, and it had a broken leg. And I was like, oh, that's terrible. I can't even imagine. And then I go, yeah, we lost a chicken over when I was gone a couple weeks ago. We lost a chicken to the coyotes. And they go, we have chickens. We have to watch them. And boom, right there. Instant every single time. Yep. So I think finding some personal connection is huge. And then we get over that, right?
Yep.
And then they've, all the edge is off and the ice has been broken and everything. And then they say, almost every time, so what do we do? What happens then? How does this work? And I go, I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to listen to you guys. And I usually say something to the tune of, I trust homeowners knowing their home better than me. I'm just here to understand. You guys have been living here for, years and years and years. Yeah. You guys know the problems. You guys already have good ideas about where you might do the addition. You just need my professional layer on top of it. After we signed the contract, I said, so just walk me through what you guys are thinking, and then I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe longer, of me just understanding and taking notes.
I like the line. I'm here to listen. I don't use that, but my philosophy is connect with them. In the beginning, pretty much the same, and then ask questions. I go into asking because I want them to talk so that I can pick up on the strains of where I feel like they need help, or that I can offer a solution, or I can align and connect back with them. And if they're going out on this route of who knows, talking about details for whatever reason. Okay, now my pitch is talking about details.
Do you when you do your questions? So I do that. I do it too. So. My questions sort of come after they start to peter off a little bit. They kind of run out of steam of what they're talking about, with their house or what they want to do.
Well, it's first, like you said, show me. What do you want to do? All that. And they'll normally go off for a while.
And do you do this? So I leave out 2 questions I leave out till the end. Because, again, you're like, it's tricky how you interject. Even though they know I'm here and we're going to charge them money. That's going to come out. But there's a personal, so what I leave out till the end is 2 questions, and I leave what's your timeline and what's your budget? Usually budget is the last one because, everybody wants to get the best bang for their buck and stuff like that. But after we've established, sort of this trust that happens maybe over the 15 to 20 minutes of talking, then all of a sudden it's a lot easier, I've found, to talk about money. If you start off with money right away, that's just not the way to go.
Yes.
And I can't come up with a good explanation why. Maybe you can, but I'm just saying that's what it has worked. At the end, that's when you talk about it.
What's weird is that I could always ask about timeline, But in the beginning, I wouldn't want to ask. Like years ago when I started selling, I'd never want to ask for budget because I feel like there was perception that I would link my fees to the budget.
Yeah.
Right? When I don't link my fees to the budget. So, and then also, now it comes from a place of authenticity where I need to know your budget because I need to know what to design to. I need to know about square foot and all that stuff. So if anyone is struggling
linked to
for that,
authenticity, that you just nailed it right there. Maybe that's what I was looking for.
Yep. So I think maybe establishing those questions and getting their program and then getting their, okay, this is your dreams or wants. Then we have to talk later about something real to make sure that I can help you and we can make this happen. Where right away, if it's flipped and goes beforehand, then it's, that sequence works better the way that you said it.
Yep. And then the third thing is, then I say, the third part of the meeting usually is, okay, do you have any questions for me? And then it's time for them to ask me questions, and then we bring out the little contract template now that we have all set up, and we show them and walk them through. And all of a sudden, they have a visual cue of how this process is going to work. The process is demystified for them, and then there's a call to action at the end. And the call to action is, okay, nice to meet you guys. We will see. I'll try to get you a proposal within 24 hours because that's our own policy. If it's on a Friday, then I usually say not till Monday because I'm doing weekend stuff.
Yep.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Cool stuff. What do we got next?
I think we have A.R.E. Jeopardy with the guys.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay. So we'll bring them in. Here we go. All right, here we go. 4 questions, 2 from me, 2 from Lance. The guys are all in. Number 1. In which situation... Oh, I forgot. These questions come from Designer Hacks. Go to Designer Hacks. It's affordable. The questions are literally spot on. They're one of the best preps that I had, and I love studying by just doing questions. So Designer Hacks, go give them a look and purchase one of their sets of questions, right? Number 1. In which situation might a developer petition for a variance? This came up in the office. I thought that was one of you, Jan, this week, right? So the building owner wants to use the building for a different use. B, zoning conditions create undue hardship on the property owner. C, when a fire station is located in close proximity to the building. D, for a single-family residence whose unique design would make the building non-compliant with the code. A, B, C, D.
In which situation?
Little remix of that. You guys ready? B. Everyone is correct.
Wow, you guys are on point
hardship.
today.
Yeah.
On point today.
I feel like we're going to go exactly the opposite with this next question. This is a typical A.R.E. question. I almost fell asleep reading it. I almost punched myself out reading this question.
Wow. Jocko style?
Jocko style. How is an exit defined within the building code? A, the portion of a means of egress system between the termination of an exit and a public way. B, that portion of a means of egress system between the exit access and the exit discharge or public way. C, any exit component that is separated from other interior spaces of a building or structure by fire-resistant rated construction and opening protectives. D, a door or access point along the path of egress traveled from an occupied room, area or space where the path or egress enters an intervening room, corridor, exit access stairs, or exit access ramp. No, I will not read those again.
Wow. Just guess. Good God.
I don't even know if I comprehended them. I'd have to read. I can't read out loud and comprehend it at the same time.
This is one of those where you're just like, okay, here's maybe the tip is on a question like this, when you guys take the test, skip it. Leave this for the end. Leave this for the end.
Yeah. Okay. Ready? B, C, B. B is the correct answer.
Who got it?
N2.
N2. N2. Sure. There's something.
I don't even know. I'm an architect. I have no idea what that question said.
That's what they call him, Al the architect. All right, number 3. Which items listed below are renewable sources of energy? Check 3 that apply. Check 3 that apply. A, clean coal. B, wind. C, nuclear. George Bush. Number 4, hydro. D, hydro. E, natural gas. And F, geothermal. I'll read them one more time. A, clean coal. B, wind. C, nuclear. D, hydro. E, natural gas. And F, geothermal. Check 3 that apply. All right, what do you got?
So B, D, and F is correct. I don't know what's going on. Oh, B, C, wrong on C.
I tried to uncheck nuclear. Hopefully uncheck the right.
Yeah, so but A, B, C is wrong. C.
So N guys again?
Wait, let's see. What did Gresh get?
B, D, F.
Yep, B, D, and F.
I did say I wanted to uncheck nuclear.
I'll give you a half point. You get a little half point.
All right. Look at that by appointment only. That's awesome.
Oh, wait. Okay, we have one more.
Yeah, this is all me. Ready?
Okay.
Number 4. The legal means whereby land use is regulated and controlled by government jurisdictions is called A, building code. B, zoning ordinance. C, land use codes. D, NFPA. Or E, ANSI. The legal means whereby land use is regulated and controlled by government jurisdictions is called A, building code. B, zoning ordinance. C, land use codes. D, NFPA. Or E, ANSI or ANSI. What do we got?
B, C. Mark Pedler wins for the first time!
Champion! Didn't he win last time?
No, that was fake.
Oh, man. He is feeling it today.
Yeah.
Yep. He is feeling it today. What? Now he's king of the office the rest of the day. And he gets to pick out where we get to eat.
Yep.
It's going to be great. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, boys. Okay.
All right. I'll do two shout-outs. Check out Eric's 30 by 40 workshop on YouTube because he goes through a typical day. I just love how he sets up his workday. So if you're curious in that, go watch that. And then also, if you're going to start a firm, one of the key areas is how you market and sell. So if you want a framework for that, go to arcmarketing.org/inside podcast. That will get you to a webinar that's going to give you a framework that works. Again, it's archmarketing.org/inside podcast.
And then is it my turn? Oh, you already got that. Good. Cool. So thanks for everybody for listening. I'm sorry again about last week and we missed it, but hey, we're trying to make it up to you. If you haven't already, please leave us a review on the iTunes. If you do leave us a review, then email Al at akg@f9productions.com and he will send you over a free ebook of the Creativity Code, his wonderful work of literature. Follow us on the Twitter. Join the Inside the Firm podcast Facebook group, and we'll see you next week.